So this is a generation that is very, very different from the past generations. And when you talk about Gen Zs, some of their actions and their speeches might be right, some might be wrong. But regardless of whether they're right or wrong, we need to figure out, as the parents who mostly belong to Gen X and millennials, what exactly do we do, right? So some of the tips that can help us is, for instance, with this generation, avoid telling them don't smoke, don't dance, don't go out, don't come to work late. That don't doesn't work. It doesn't make sense to most of them. Instead, tell them don't do because. This is a generation that works with logic. Logic. That is what for them makes a lot of sense. So when you tell them don't smoke, then they want that accompanied with why they should not smoke. But when you just say don't smoke, they're like, I've watched several videos where people are smoking and they are fine. I've been to the internet, my friends are posting videos when they are smoking and they are looking okay. So to them, the logic is what will make them change their mind. So tell them, don't smoke because of one, two, three, four. And they digest it with you. And you prove to their conscience that, this is wrong for this reason and that reason. That way they listen and they pick up what you say and you will discuss a lot. But just don't do, that doesn't make sense to them. Now, when we grew up, perhaps those Gen X, millennials, and the generations before, there might have been no TikTok, no Facebook. Most of these social media handles that are there today were not there. So we grew up when probably our social media was the local TV station and the local government radio station. So that if, for instance, you are in Kenya, there is Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. If you are in South Africa, there is South Africa Broadcasting Corporation, ETC. But now these people are growing in a generation where social media is the identity. In fact, most of them don't even watch mainstream media. If you ask them 7 o'clock news, they have no idea, but they know what is in the social media. Now, regulating how they use that social media is what works, not banning. So when you ban it completely, then you disconnect them from their identity, which is a key component of their generation. So you regulate. And there are many ways of regulating social media, which we can discuss later. But take, for instance, limiting Wi-Fi access time, limiting gadget use time through timetabling and scheduling. For instance, using filters to block some sites, all right? For instance, regulating the gadget capacity so that some gadgets don't allow certain apps, etc., etc. That's a topic for another day. But then that regulation helps you to fight something, but then allow access. Therefore, they remain with the identity of their generation social media, but then you regulate so that you reduce the harm. That way, it will help you to fight something rather than total blockage. Because when you do that, you disconnect them from their identity and they become irrelevant in school, in church, everywhere they interact. And then that doesn't work really very well for the Gen Zs, right? Now, as much as old school parents have goals which they want to articulate to their children, I want you to be a doctor, I want you to be an engineer, I want you to be a lawyer, those old days. The current generation, the Gen Zs, have very strong passion and dreams, which mostly they have picked from what they see in the social media. They have celebrities, they have their role models from all over the world, and some of the passions and dreams they have are very close to what their role models and celebrities display. So, for instance, they'll tell you, I would like to sing, I would like to write music, I would like to act, I would like to draw, I want to be an environmental conservatist, things like that. I want to be an academic writer. They have seen it, they have admired it, they have passion for it, and they're dreaming to be that because that is what they have seen around. That is what they have heard their friends say. Then you now come with your goals, this is what I want you to be. In most cases, it won't work. They will listen to you and they will pick up what you say because they have to listen. But then because it is something coming from you down their throats, they may not really give you that thing you want. But when you listen to their passion and dreams, then advise and mold it. So you mold it as a teacher or you mold it as a parent rather than push your own. Then it works quite well because then it becomes a blend, a concoction of their passion, dreams, and the goals. And that concoction works perfectly well, right? Now, bring something called shame and embarrassment next to a Gen Z, and they are gone. They completely lose it. They fear shame and they fear embarrassment. And the easiest way to embarrass them and shame them is to ridicule them. For example, it's common with some teachers in schools. And I've been a teacher. So you find a teacher, a student has answered something wrongly, and they're like, that's a very wrong answer, very stupid. You only know how to play rugby. But in class, you cannot even answer a simple question like this. That is ridicule. And, that is definitely going to do one thing. It will lower their self-esteem. Or in the house, they don't shower, and you tell them, you don't shower. You just know how to eat here. You don't even do house chores. And the worst it becomes is when you do it before other people, before their siblings or before the classmates. Ridicule. That will lower their self-esteem. And the moment their self-esteem is low, they will disconnect from you as a teacher or as a parent. And when that happens, they start becoming isolated. Even if they were good performers, their performance begins to drop. They start becoming introverts when they were actually extroverts before. So this child is losing it. And therefore, ridicule is something we must really avoid. We can teach them in a parental way, in a way that does not really come out as ridicule, so that we retain their self-esteem and we help them to become more and more confident. That is the typical Gen Z for you. Okay? There is a difference between being firm and being harsh. For instance, you have set 10 p.m. as the time when television should be off in your house. So, you come, you find the TV is on, and then you tell people, I have said I should not see the TV on at 10 p.m. Anybody who tries that again, you will see me. You will know whom I am. I'll deal with you. You are being too harsh. You're just, yes, the message is home, but the language is too harsh. So they will fear you when you do that. They will fear you. If they hear your footsteps, they'll switch off the TV and run very fast upstairs or wherever they are going to sleep. Now, what if you just said, in a good tone, no threats, nothing, that our house rule number 1, the TV will be off at 10, and you leave it at that. The following day, they try to open it, switch on the TV at 10 or after, and you say, I said yesterday the TV should always be off after 10. Then you take the remote, you switch it off, you let them go sleep. The third time, they again violate that, you find them. Now you probably remove the fuse from the socket. So the power controller is not there, therefore the TV cannot work. Then they realize, this guy is serious about what he's saying. Doesn't want the TV on after 10. And the way you have done it is showing that you are firm. But the other method is showing that you are harsh. So when you are firm, they respect what you say. But when you are harsh, they fear you. But you don't want a Gen Z to fear you. If they fear you, you have lost them completely. Let them respect you, then it will be very easy to manage them. But any fear you instill in them, that you've lost them. And it's a matter of time. You are sitting on a time bomb. Okay? So set your boundaries and they will respect it like that. Now, the Gen Zs live in a world that is very different from where the millennials, the Gen X lived. They are surrounded by a lot of monsters, social media with all the sites that are carrying very bad things. And then there is drugs around them. There are so many monsters around them. Now, what they need is life skills, right? As opposed to strictness, life skills. Show them how to live. When they go to campus, tell them the kind of friends you should have is type A, type B, type C. But when you have type D and E, these are the dangers. So then they sit down and look at the kind of friends they have. And then they say no. That said, if I go out with friend type D and E, they might influence me to drink alcohol. They might influence me into immoral character. So then I will just go out with type A, B, and C. Let them draw the boundaries themselves. When they do that, it works perfectly. They become responsible, all right? But they can't do that without the life skills. How to live, how to choose friends, do's and don'ts in life. You know, they are getting the logic behind everything. They are getting the experience. And then they use that logic and that experience and the life skills you are giving them to set their own boundaries. They respect their own boundaries than the ones set for them without any logic. Okay. Now, scaring a Gen Z doesn't work. You know, I remember a parent who told the son, you know, if you drink, you will die. If you over drink and smoke, you will die and you will lead a miserable life. Then the Gen Z asked the mother, you know, my dad is 69 years old. He drinks and smokes. He's a millionaire and he has several real estate businesses. Why is he not leading a miserable life? So when you try to scare them, they'll find a way around your scare. So scaring them doesn't work, you know, because they have seen it all. They have watched videos, they have been in social media, they have seen their friends do horrible things, they are still living. So they have seen it all. Scaring them doesn't work. But then letting them to have real life experiences works very well. So get this podcast or this video of a drug addict who was rescued, talking about the experiences they had and how their life changed from bad to worse. Let them watch that. Or organize a trip to a rehabilitation center for children who are addicted in drugs or street boys. Let them look at it and see it with their own eyes. It works. They look at it and that will strike them, right? Or just take them to visit a friend or a relative where probably somebody had a certain lifestyle that is not desirable, and then let them narrate to them how they changed from good life to bad life to the worst. So real life experiences, that is what changes this generation. Gen Zs use real life experiences to change, not threats, not scares. When you scare them, they will be like, oh, okay. So you are saying if people drink, then they become foolish. I've seen people even worse than that. So that is not a scare to them. So let's expose them to real life experiences. Okay. Finally, it is very important to validate their feelings, but not to dismiss. One day, they might come to you as a teacher or as a parent and tell you, no, I don't like it when I'm not allowed to go for sports outings with the rest, or when I'm not allowed to attend church meetings with the other youths. That is a feeling they have. Don't dismiss it. Validate, and say, look, that sounds genuine. We acknowledge the fact that you feel bad when you don't go out for sports with the rest. Let's see whether we'll discuss that with your class teacher and your parents so that the next outing you can go. If it is not possible, we'll explain to you. Or that sounds very good. I mean, like it sounds genuine. Let me sit with your mom and your dad, and then we discuss how you can now attend the future church functions with the other youths. You have validated the feeling. So even if you refuse and give a reason why you are refusing, but you have already acknowledged that that feeling is valid. They like it that way because they really like their feelings. They really value their feelings. And more so if there are things that make them uncomfortable and kill their self-esteem, they value them. So if you validate, you keep them confident. But when you dismiss, then it doesn't work. So correct and advise after validating the feelings, not after dismissing the feelings. There is a very big difference, right? This is a topic we can take 3 hours to discuss. So with those few tips, we can always start from somewhere. So we are going to do effective study habits just before exams in our next set of videos, how to regulate social media. And we will also talk about the STEM pathway in the Kenyan CBC, alongside several other topics that we have lined up for you. So kindly leave a comment, subscribe, like, and share our videos. So until next time, thank you very much. See you again.